Hello everyone and welcome back to another painting stream with me, Bacicolio. Hopefully today's stream will be at least a bit more stable than the previous one. Hopefully the camera won't fall apart on me and hopefully that I won't be as annoyed as I was last time. Apologies for that. But, well, here's hoping. Meanwhile, I took again a look at our dudester here. And from what I was able to get, well, things don't look as bad as I initially thought, so the skin will take a bit of work to get properly blended. But it's definitely not unfixable. The eyes, however, which looked sort of alright when I was painting them, upon further inspection they look goofy as all hell. So I'll be trying to close them up a little bit, so make the eyeballs smaller and hope that this might fix some of the goofiness. I really want to not have to go through the process of completely repainting the eyes. I kind of like the irises, although they are a bit asymmetrical and he does look a bit goofy, but we'll try and get by with what we have. I did put some thoughts on some more thought into what Big in Space mentioned last time about the fur looking a bit bland and the hair not being as black, or at least, well, not as discernible as the fur was. And I've thought of a few ways that this can be fixed to an extent. So we're gonna try and apply a couple of quick fixes on those things as well. And then we'll continue with the flesh. Now, I was thinking about well, making these weekend streams so that I can get ahead of the curve. But as it turns out, I'll have a couple of games scheduled for next week. Meaning that effectively if I stream today and tomorrow, this will just offset the loss of painting streams. So it will be somewhere near the same amount. In addition, next weekend I probably won't be around, so I doubt I'll be able to fit in any streams. And I also thought about starting the weekend streams a bit earlier so we can have more time to paint. Apparently, however, I just made it a bit later than usual. So we'll see how that goes. I still feel fresh at the 2.5 hour mark. I might push on. If not, I guess it'll just be another standard stream. I'll try and do the same tomorrow, although no guarantees. Maybe I'll just want to have a day off. Yeah, for the moment, it is important to consider if I'm feeling up to it. But I am trying to get as much in as possible, keep the momentum going, and get ready. So first thing is first, I really want to get back to the eyes. I'm just gonna take here the Bugman's Glow that I used for the base of the color. I'm gonna go in with yet a smaller brush. and try not to. Hey, it's Anif. How are you doing? Thanks for joining, and a good Saturday to you. Oh, that's great. Have you started on the undeads now? Thank you. I saw the pic of the bases. They look really good. Can't wait to see how you're gonna apply the glowing effects. So if anything comes up, please feel free to join it to share any work in progress pics. So I'm pretty curious and interested. Follow along. Awesome. So going for a smaller brush this time, the detailing of the eyes. Haven't used this one yet, so it's gonna take a little while to bring it to working condition. I need to gently wash off the starch. Because I don't want to risk breaking any of the bristles. Because this is a small enough brush, and even minor damage to the bristles will cause the brush to become essentially, well, I try to avoid saying the word unusable, but for the purposes of which it is intended, might as well be. Alright, so let's just get some Bugman's Glow here. Then it out something fierce. And we will jump into the eyes again. Not gonna lie, I am a little bit nervous when I'm doing this sort of detailing. Not because it can't be corrected, but it because just a bit of a hassle that I want to avoid. It's pretty counterproductive considering this is pretty much the only particularly prominent aspect which requires going back and forward, but what you gonna do? So first we'll go under the eye. And on the inside of the nose. And the most tricky part is below the eyebrows. Trying to humanize our dude a little bit. Reduce the goofiness. I don't really have anything against goofy models. I'm just not going for this particular style. I want to help him look a little bit better. Well, still looks a bit like a goofball, but a little bit better than it used to be, I think. This eyeball maybe needs to be a little bit bigger. I don't think I have the space to make it bigger, so I'll keep it like that. Let's say that we managed to correct it to some extent. But as the previous time showed, giving it a little time to really dry out and having another look in another lighting, preferably a bit more natural than the one I'm currently using, might reveal some imperfections, as well as give me a little time to actually look through and find and think about what can be fixed. More importantly, how. Right, so let's consider the eyes sort of under control. Now, for the correction of the fur and the hair. For the hair, I think I'm gonna go over the whole thing with Drakenhof Nightshade, giving it a good shading, tinting the overall color from black and gray towards blue and black, I think, which will hopefully give a little bit of a differentiation of the texture. For this, however, I will be using a much larger brush, so I'll be going over the whole thing. Not to jinx anything, but it would appear that the camera is behaving a bit better today. I did go in, update the drivers, update the software that the camera is using, although it doesn't particularly apply to OBS. Maybe it does give some memory things. And I switched out another USB slot, which appears to have calmed things down. I might need to go through through USB slots on a regular basis. For some reason, whatever it is. I did give the camera a good stress test after I made these corrections, but it seems that it just can't work in perfect condition for more than an hour-ish with a fixed exposure. So again, this is more along the lines of a temporary workaround rather than a solution. But at least it's workable. And sometimes going for absolute perfection right away isn't the best way to do it. I've been looking all over the internet like crazy, but it's pretty hard to find any details on this issue. Mostly because it's something that would strongly appear only when using the camera for such small work. And most people that get this camera use it for a face cam instead of a paint cam. Meaning that they are unlikely to experience the same issues as I am. There just seems to be some sort of fatigue that builds up in the camera exposure over time. And for now I don't appear to have a good response to counter that from happening. And there we go, that is the wash applied. I'm gonna have to see how it looks after it dries out. It doesn't really bring that much of a difference to the overall impression. Maybe if I had forced the highlights a bit more and then applied the wash so that the blue can actually come through a little bit more. But a better look will be available once the thing actually dries. And as far as the fur is concerned, I'm just going to apply Agrax Earth Shade to the center of it. So I'm gonna go right from here to about here-ish, taking into account the creases, hoping that again the brownish will catch the highlights. And if I go, so it'll be concentrated in the middle, and as I'm spreading in each direction, I will be thinning it out. so that hopefully I don't get much of a harsh transition between the gray and the brownish. So let's see how and if this would work. Where is Agrax? There it is. The NEF World Cup webpage confirmed that everyone has submitted their rosters, which is great news indeed. $1,400 coaches, can you imagine that? 1,400 people are gonna come over to Dornburn in a month. Just over a month, I guess. And play some good Blood Bowl. Also, we got a sneak peek at the team statistics, which was I was very curious about. And the Norse team are neither in the most picked nor in the least picked, meaning somewhere in the middle. There were no statistics for the middle teams, although Bretonians, which Biggins Place will be playing, are amongst the least played, the least picked teams, meaning that he can expect virtually 0 mirror matches, which is good. I always hate mirror matches, and I don't know what his stance on the matter is, but I think that he would be quite pleased. The fact. So there are only like 20-ish, maybe 26 or 16, I can't quite remember the statistics. Very low number, considering again that this is out of 1,400 coaches. There are 20-ish ogres, and the same number for goblins and halflings. Humans, as the meta suggested, are among the most picked races, which is very unusual for a tournament. Not often that you get to see that. I think that there were over 100, maybe 200. Actually, let me just take a look at this and not talk out of my ass. Right, there we go. Yeah, so 112 human teams. Wood Elves are taking the top with 131. That doesn't surprise anyone, because Wood Elves are considered pretty strong. Me taking tackle on day one, probably a good idea. Followed closely by Necromantic with 130 teams. Again, if the ball carrier is a ghoul, tackle will come in handy. Chaos Chosen at the third place with 114. I don't really think I have a good answer to chaos chosen. Aside from block, however, considering most of the skills picked up by a chaos team would probably be block, that'll nullify any advantage. 112 humans, which will be interesting to see. I love humans as a team, and I try to play most things as humans. So it'll be interesting to see some new builds, some new ideas, and how I can make them work in future tournaments. And coming just below the humans are the Dark Elves with 111 teams. Again, even one tackle might be decent against them. So just two elven teams in the top 5. Does that surprise anyone, or not really? Pro elves, I wouldn't expect to see them, but high elves, I don't see why not. There are 31 goblin teams, 28 halfling teams, and 20 ogre teams. As expected, ogres are quite underrepresented. 22 Khemri teams, 17 Chaos Renegades, I don't know how I feel about the Chaos Renegades. They should be a pretty tough team with the overall amount of money given for skill upgrades. They should be quite formidable. Maybe the Agi 3 is keeping them back. 16 Bretonnian teams in total out of 1,400 coaches. And 13 vampires. If anyone cares about the most picked kills, the absolute winner is of course Block with 3256, so 3256 block skills picked up, followed by 2168 guard, interesting thing that Wrestle has been picked over Dodge, with a minor difference of 45 total, but it's 1095 for Wrestle versus 1050 for Dodge. Leader is being seriously utilized at 644. Tackle a bit underrepresented with only 632. Now, considering that there are two dodge-centric Elven teams in the top picks, I find it a bit iffy. Have that little tackle. Mighty Blow, following tackle at 620, which is always a good killing skill. Sure Hands at 258, opposing Strip Ball at 220. Now, this brings an interesting topic to discuss. Unfortunately, I had to pick Sure Hands last but I do not regret doing so, considering that we have 220 dudes with strip ball somewhere along the way. Considering this is a weird skill, I don't suppose that there will be multiple players within a single team. Same thing about the sure hands, but well. And 173 claw upgrades have been taken. So 173 claw and 620 mighty blow. I am expecting to see some bloody matches. Although again, let's take a look at the most picked teams. Wood elves, dark elves. Yeah, so only 2 out of the 5 most picked teams are not quite as susceptible to claw, so good choice there. And we're seeing that 57% of the players will be bringing along 25 mil markers, which essentially tells me that over half of the guys showing up will be having older models, which means that they would be in the game for a longer time and therefore would probably be more formidable opponents. So I expect that I will have a hard time on my hands. Which was of course expected, but still. Again, it's interesting to see Chaos show up in the team picks. I don't know if it's because this is I think it's the second tournament after the Euro Bowl that already would have the new models for Chaos, so I don't know if that plays any role into why they have been chosen. Probably the good amount of skills that you can give out throughout the tournament also plays a role. Because Chaos does become good when you get to stack up some skills. I wonder how they've been built up. I'm very curious. Like, would you go all block on the Chaos Warriors on day 1? Would you actually go for functionality skills such as sure hands? It'll be interesting to see, no doubt about that. So now that we've done the center line, I'm gonna go with very thinned out shade to spread it out. Further. Hopefully that will create a little bit of color. Bleh, words are starting to get tough already. Across the fur, making it a bit more visually appealing and having some variety, breaking up the monotonous color tone. I think this will be job done. Maybe after it dries out, I would go over the center line with another layer of Agrax. Just strengthen the color transition. I don't see much difference in the hair. So I might need to re-highlight it and bring it back down at some point. Nah. We'll see how it goes. And now that would be enough. Okay, that's it. Oh, that's the Agrax, that's right. Okay. Right row. Anyone watching might want to comment something on the statistics I just read out for the World Cup. Please do. I would love some meta discussions taking place here, especially if you're going to be attending the tournament. Let me take a look at something else though, because I was thinking about the Chaos team, and I would just want to take a look at what tier is Chaos. Chaos Chosen falls into tier 3. So what do tier 3 have? They start off with 50,000 in skills. Oh no, wait, no. I'm very much off. So for day 1 they have 1250. Interesting. Very interesting. Coaches must spend a minimum of 1100 on their team. Means that Chaos actually wow, you get 150k for skills. Yeah, I knew. I expected this for humans because there was some leaked meta that we expected. But yeah, looking at this now, 1250 starting for Chaos. This is very strong. Like, this is 150k in skills. Jesus. Making me think that the tier 1 team may not have been the best idea to bring along, especially such a fickle one as Norse. But we'll see how things go. Okay, so back to the skin. Should be pretty brutal the way I see it. Necro, would you have considered that Undead would have been higher on the list than Necro. Because they're usually similar in... No? Oh? Because I know Undead are generally a preferred team to use. Is that you played it already, yeah? Yeah, exactly. And the Euro, and you're going for the badge as well for playing all the teams. Yeah, yeah. I would have expected as much. How far along are you, by the way? Yeah, we did talk about the badge for playing all teams. How far along are you? Nice. Oh, you mean that you're far from getting it? Okay, because anyway, yeah, I got you. Yeah. Yeah, we did touch on the human builds. But Chaos was something I hadn't put much thought into. And now that I see the actual numbers game, it's pretty hardcore, not gonna lie. Alright, let's think about it. 150 in skills. Considering that's 20 a pop, you get 7 skills day 1. 7. That's... So you get your 4 blocks for the Chaos Chosen, for the Chaos Warriors, if that's the way you're going for. You get 1 sure hands on a goat, and what else would you bring along? Your skills, maybe a claw for one of the warriors, or a goat. Would you put guard on chaos? So essentially, even on day 1, you get pretty much everything you'd want. Guard on the warriors. Yeah, so probably alternate. Yeah, block guard, block guard. And then you get 50k on each day. So you can get a double and a normal. And you can also do some skill stacking without killing off a skill. But even on day 1, you basically have everything you need for a chaos team, and that's just brutal. I actually just never thought of that. I wouldn't have brought chaos anyway, but just the fact, thinking about what I'm going to have to face. It'll be pretty brutal. Pretty damn brutal. Oh. Oh, that's the bases. Okay, I'm gonna bring this up right now. Look at that. Yeah, you definitely get it across. Definitely. Is that contrast that you have over the green? Actually, the green, is it contrast paint? Oh yeah, you definitely get it across as the glow factor. Yeah. Really, really cool. Oh, okay. All right. And you will be... Oh, so it's not pure white, okay? I thought it was that you went over the highlight with another layer. But yeah, cool. If there is a color to do this, so you can save yourself from having to go over again. Pretty cool. Yeah, sure, sure. You did say that you just started it, so... Very nice. Looking forward to see how you will mix the OSL in the base and then over to the miniatures. But I guess that at least for the miniatures it's gonna be quite a long time to come. Yeah, definitely looking good though. It's gonna be tricky, not gonna lie. It's gonna be pretty daunting. You are gonna use the airbrush for that, right? Should be easier than with regular paintbrush. Because the airbrush will help guide your well, the direction of the light source, whereas with a normal brush you will have to manually represent it. So it's probably gonna be better, but I don't know. I've never attempted OSL, so I can't really say. Yeah, okay. That it is going to be a challenge, and I'm saying that in the best possible way, as in this is gonna bring up your painting skills a lot, and also the results are gonna be marvelous. I can feel it. Here I went a bit too thick. It's a bit too late to fix now. Nah, for real, it'll work out. Are you going to put some highlights where you will hit the OSL? Meaning, are you going to over highlight? So go into extreme highlights in the areas that will be hit by the OSL? Going into whites and very light grays, so it would reinforce the OSL once you go for the color. Okay. Because I've seen that being used as a way. Actually, I lied. I have tried OSL, but it was very small scale. I think it was on one of the Space Marines, just for eye lenses. Hey there, Pig in Space. Thanks for joining. Currently having a mixed discussion for anything relating to the World Cup statistics and painting OSL, so feel free to jump in any of the tackled subjects. Only 16 Bretonian teams, did you see that? So the chances of you playing a mirror match would be tiny. And your team would probably also stand out, considering most other Bretonian coaches will probably be bringing the Grebo ones. Corn, let me take a look. I don't remember reading Corn. Just give me a second and I'll let you know right away. Yeah, Corn isn't on any yeah, true. No, Corn isn't mentioned in either the top picks, which isn't surprising, but it also isn't mentioned on the least taken. So either no one has taken Corn, or more than 22 teams have been picked. So in the 30s or 40s. Yeah, so Corn being more popular than Camry this tournament around. Yeah, that's when they said they will release the full stats. Pretty curious to check them out. Yeah, so the fact, again, if they're not in top or bottom, means that they've even been, either they have been picked more often or not at all. But since we have 20 ogre teams, I think that there will be at least some Corn around. Yeah. Oh yeah, total spam. Though that's not really a surprise, I think. Yeah, they always are. But wrestle is higher than tackle, which is weird. Admittedly, quite little. Yeah, wrestle. I'm also curious why it was picked more than tackle, considering that 2 out of the 3 most picked races are Dodge-centric. Also, quite a bit of Mighty Blow going around. Oh yeah, sure. I'm just bringing up the topic because we had this information released and I'd like to do a little bit of speculation with limited information. Oh, definitely. It'll be interesting to see all of the teams and how they are represented. The post did mention that there are some very unusual builds for standard teams, so I'm looking forward to finding out what they are. Yeah, sure. Actually, I just put paint on. I did take into account your comments from last time, and I did put a wash of Agrax on the pelt, although I will need to reinforce it, and also a wash of blue, so Drakenhof Nightshade. No extra light. I just played around with the drivers for the camera and switched it to another USB. It'll probably break down at some point, but I think I gave it a bit more longevity. It looks a bit different, but not by much, and I am going to go again over the fur here with Agrax. But I will leave the hair alone, but this will be reinforced. So you can look at the screenshots that Etanif posted on his base. He started with the glowing bases. Which is what triggered the OSL discussion. Alright, well, let me just bring them up in that case so you can take a look as well. Here they are. So this is how it has started out. This will be the source of light that will be affecting the rest of the base and the miniature that will be put on top of it. And as far as I can understand, there will also be... Oh no, I'm not. No. It's the weekend. I cannot be bothered to be in a rush over the weekend. So this will be a part of the bases, and the other part will have a blow on them. Definitely, yeah. It looks very, very interesting. and it'll make for very, how should I say, varied up and unusually looking models. Because I don't think that there will be many players where the base will actually affect the miniatures in any way. So it'll definitely stand out. Definitely. Meanwhile, a bit more flesh to highlight. Keep going back and forward between the smaller brushes and the bigger brush. I kind of want to have a more solid opinion on whether or not I prefer either. Okay. But I'm still on the fence. The bigger brushes allow me to work with more fluidity. Like, it ensures better paint flow. But on the other hand, the smaller brushes allow me to paint almost like with crayons. Oh, definitely, yeah. Counter friend, you are a nightmare for anything that has frenzy and that has built the team to use the frenzy. You know, some Norse teams wouldn't rely so much on the frenzy and actually try to self-manage it, whereas some builds might rely heavily. So you would give them Juggernaut and stuff like that. And if you remember the discussion that we had during the Euro Bowl, that we heard this guy with his interesting ideas on the Norse build. And now that I'm looking at it, actually having less frenzy might be a good idea. In terms of, again, reliability. But definitely the Fend will make Khorne a lot less fancy, I think. And it'll create opportunities for counterattacks. Although with the Fend, they won't be quite as wouldn't be quite as possible to get them frenzy trapped. So it would be to the advantage of a... Really? Because then they would be on the ground and they are not the fastest ones. Probably right. My reasoning again behind doing this was that the elf is... You sure can. Yeah, you sure can. So my reasoning behind the wrestle on the Ulf was it is the only piece in the team that doesn't have block by default. And it wouldn't be as situational. Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan, but we'll see. It hasn't come in handy against you in our practice matches. At least I don't remember it being useful. Maybe it's just my poor positioning that made it so. Because I think giving... Yeah, well, that's... Ball sacking was the reason I would go with wrestle anyway. Because putting wrestle on a piece that already has block just seems to be a bit of a waste. Again, you can choose whether or not to use it, but still, considering the small amount of skills I can actually play around with, and the fact that I sacrificed one to have a blotch player with sure hands, means that I really need to go for the most bang for buck skills. Yeah, I think that was the case. But I do believe that there will be opportunities down the line. Overall, I'm not regretting too many skills that I've chosen, as in, there really isn't anything I can just off the top of my head. Okay, we have another picture that we'll be looking in a just quick moment. Oh, don't give it away. Let me open it up for the rest of the people. That is a very happy zombie. In a very fouling mood too, as it would appear. And yeah, I just gotta say once again, the armor looks amazing. This combination of base coating with metals and going over with this, it's amazing. Like, pretty cool. I think that you can have sort of a similar color in Blood Bowl 2, or am I mistaken? I think they had something like this, although their base color was very much in the blacks, so this was more along the lines of just an accent here and there, but this looks very good. Do you find the Citadel miniature holders to be convenient? Or not so much? Because now it's back into my attention. Come to think of it, it's always that you use it. Exactly, if it's mounted on a base, yeah. But if it's not, as in, like in this case, and also in yours, because you probably, these are temporary bases, I would assume, because you would be then putting the miniatures on another base, on the bases that you're painting right now. But I do think that it's a good thick handle. So I sometimes run into problems with the cork cap it's a bit too thin, and sometimes my hand starts shaking because I have to squeeze more, whereas a thicker base would let me have a better grip on the model and make it more stable. And another thing that looks weird to me is that there is a lot of extension at the top of the Citadel miniature holder, which means that if you have to do any detailing on the inside, or let's say on the inside of this thigh, this will be pretty difficult because the handle would cover up at least a good finger or so, and it would make it a bit difficult. So, that being said, I don't think that there is a universally good solution for any of this. More along the lines of habit, I guess. What you manage to make work for you is what remains. And there have been quite a few attempts at those things from third-party manufacturers, all sorts of grips, one with the overlapper and so on. So I can't really quite make up my mind. But what I've done for myself, it works. These corks are fairly comfortable to use most of the time. And adding a little base on the bottom makes them pretty stable when you're putting miniatures to rest on them. And they can handle a little bit of off balance if you're painting a larger metal model. The most thing after all remains to be comfortable just for you. 'Cause you're the one who's painting, and that's all that matters. I'm using a smaller brush for highlighting the hands and the fingers, because I am sick of overspilling. Whenever I'm highlighting them. Doesn't mean it won't happen, just probably less likely. So on the topic of between smaller and larger brushes, at the end of the day, the answer is probably going to be the ever so unsatisfactory. It is on a case-by-case basis, I suppose. And I know that that's not saying anything to anyone, but at the end of the day, I think that's the best I can come up with.
We're starting over.
So far, so good. Yeah, that works. And of course, I missed the chest here. Okay. He doesn't actually have that much exposed flesh as opposed to the wolf. I just realized that amidst the nothingness. And now we're going to highlight the face. Yeah, the hair, but also because of his dynamic pose, the entire chest region was free, whereas the guy with the hands crossed in front of him doesn't leave me much room to highlight. Wonder if Bobby will be coming along for these streams now that he started painting. His halfling team is coming along very well, I have to say. Not just as a first attempt either, it's just good. And I really like the fact that he is painting in the open. Yeah. He's painting in the open, and so he's getting the most natural light. Which is actually pretty cool. And helps out quite a bit. Yeah, exactly. And he is already experimenting with the washes and the worn out effects for the metals and whatnot. Pretty good, pretty cool. Oh, the time will come for all of us, I think. Sooner or later, we will get tired of the heavy hitters, so to speak, and we'd like to challenge ourselves. Itanif is already doing that with the goblins. And he has already played ogres as well. So the time will come. And if it doesn't, we can always make... yeah, we can always make these bets, like the two drunk flings podcast, where they just challenge each other for Ear of the Fling. We can have such a rotation. Yeah, hope that they don't bone and just crush everything. Okay, just get a good look through. Yeah, that'll do it for layer 1. So, notes to take. The technique that I'm using with lots of medium does not work well with smaller brushes. So if I want to take advantage of the medium, I need to use a larger brush and load up more paint on it. The same team, this one? I mean this stack of models. Yeah, I think I saw them as well, or at least an old attempt. Yeah, they look good in red. Red and gold. Also, there was a brighter blue posted, brighter blue and gold, lighter blue. But yeah, they're starting to come out from the woodwork. And for some reason, everyone is painting them in non-metallic metal. I don't understand why. No one is going through metallics for them. I've seen maybe 4 or 5 examples of them being painted, and in each and every one of them, they're using non-metallic metal. And that demoralizes me greatly, because I don't know the first thing about actually painting non-metallic metal. For now... yeah. Oh, no, it's just the matter of not using glittering, sparkly paints for the metallics. And just using, like, browns and yellows and whites for building up golds and that sort of thing. But it's pretty difficult, because you need to understand how light works and such things, and how a different type of well, how chromy your metal must be, where the highlights will become harsher. There's a lot to think about. Exactly. So far, the most I've been able to do is get the shine out of the metallics and try to build them up slowly with other metallics, but with just a smaller effect of metallic. Which isn't much, but it's something. The old meme. It's something. Oh, another update. What do we get? Alright. So the... Wait, that's not for Blood Bowl, is it? Oh, from Warcry. The purple looks very good. And look, he also has that delineation towards the contour of the drape, which instantly makes the color on itself pop even more. I really like that effect. The dark line that helps to delineate the contour. And that makes the shield pop more, and yeah, it's great. He's also been doing some texturing. I don't know, has this been dry brushed, the wood on the shield, or did you use just dry... are these lines manually drawn, or are they dry brush on the wood of the buckler? Dry brush, okay, yeah, it works as well. And this is exactly what I've been talking about whenever mentioning dry brush. It's great to use whenever you need to have a texture build up. So in case of wood like this, it works amazing. Because it gives you a roughed up surface, so this is obviously wood that hasn't been polished. It's just been put into a shape and braced in the metal. It's awesome. So you are multitasking with bases on one side and Warcry on the other. I've never been able to jump around between projects like that. Maybe because I'm more in a rush to actually see some... witness the build-up as a continuity. But it's good, and in this way you also fight burning out, which is a very common topic amongst miniature painters. Burning out in the middle of your project. So jumping around from one to another, especially if it has significantly different color schemes, it really helps keep you in the mood and the creative juices flowing, rather than just get stagnated in the same scheme over and over again, feeling more like a copier rather than to actually paint. So it's definitely a good plan. And it's something that I will put into use soon. I also brought up the palette a bit higher up so that it catches a bit more focus. So hopefully you are able to see more of what I am doing when I mix things on the palette. Although because it's a yellow colored palette, it is very situational on which colors you actually can see what's going on, and flesh color is not one of them. But I think blues and reds, maybe some more saturated browns, you will be able to see. So the next layer of the highlight, just sorry, just as with Ulfi, we're going to take a intermediary step. Where I'll be mixing Cadian Fleshstone with Kislev Flesh. And I will be applying it with the small brush this time. Because I would need a bit more control. It should be perfectly fine doable with a larger brush, especially the one I've shown off. But I'm kind of looking for my own little brand of experimentation as well, so I'm gonna try it like this. Oh, this is why I have leaking. Good thing to always have napkins nearby, so you can manage whenever you make a mess. And why would you make a mess? Well, because you don't clean your paint pots. And why would you not clean your paint pots? Because you are a lazy dude. Something I am apparently going to have to amend now. Yeah, see, all that buildup of gunk here is causing the paint to overflow. And all of this is actually wasted paint. Look at that. All of that. It's just paint. Do you know what kind of pots do not cause this buildup? Dropper bottles. That's right. Can anyone actually tell Games Workshop to start making those? Nope. That might as well be one of the reasons why. Is the Kislev Flesh suffering the same illness? Not yet. So we're gonna take some of the Kislev Flesh and we're going to mix them on the palette. Trying to create an intermediary color. And I don't know if it's just me or the batch of paints that I've picked up, but Kislev Flesh comes off very grainy as a finish. And so I rarely try to use it on its own over a large surface. Because it looks a bit chalky. I am still going to use a fair bit of medium in this case. And let's go back in and see what we need to have highlighted even further. The top of the knee. Here on the side of the calf. And the eye muscles. The quads. The medium a bit blurs out the idea of paint consistency. It makes it look thinner than it actually is, and so sometimes you do get some brush strokes here and there. Maybe I can still smooth it out. A little bit smoothened. So this part here. And as my hand flinched, of course, it went over the fur. It's okay, we'll just correct it a little bit later. Doing the same thing over the other leg. Just dragging the color towards where I want to have the highest, the brightest highlight. Good. And moving up. Where do we want highlights? Here on the back, where I want to get nice straight lines. That went on rather well. Again, intensity may be a bit too much. Yeah, I am getting this. So I might have to go for a couple of layers with the shade afterwards. But yeah, he is getting a bit too bright. This is, however, the final layer of highlight for this level. As in placement, vertical placement of the model. So I will just need to remediate it afterwards. Okay. Doing the same on this side as well. Okay. Oh, you are varnishing between the steps. Oh, okay. So you'll be going different varnishes for the different surfaces. That's really going all the way, isn't it? Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, but also you will keep the shine, and I suppose you won't go with matte varnish over that at a later stage. Nice, nice. Yeah, it's a little bit of more work, but I think that if you're going for an actual reflective metallic effect, it is important. I went a bit hard here. Oh well. Oh, and we are getting the flickering again. Already. How lovely. Honestly, I just don't know what to do anymore. Don't think it's the camera that it's busted, but I just don't know how to counter this anymore. The thing is, it has been getting worse and worse. Considering I'm not using it outside of streaming. This is a baffling issue. I might take you up on that just so I can try it out and see if it's an issue with the cam. Because it is the same, right? It's a C922. I think you did mention this before. Thanks, yeah, I would probably take you up on that offer. Thanks. Thank you very much. I just want to compare them side by side and run a couple of tests to see. Because if it's the camera, I might have to return it. Because it should be in warranty. But I mean, you can see the problem, right? Interestingly enough, it doesn't come through on the recordings. So on YouTube, it doesn't look like that. It's only during the actual live stream. I know, yeah, that's what I've been. You mean on the recording? Yeah, it's coming back, and it's doing so sooner and sooner. I will push on today, however, I want to get through with the flesh. So yeah, okay. I will push on. I'm sorry if that will make the stream even less enjoyable to watch. Also, since I'm using right a shittier USB port, I don't actually have control over the exposure. It doesn't register. But it is annoying. Oh, now I can control it. What if I give it backlight compensation? Oh shit. Very weird. And now it does so even in the lighter places. Well, how about that? In that case, what if I... Sorry guys, just for a quick second, it's going to get really bright and then it'll come down. Just give me a quick second. So you might want to look away from the screen for a moment or two. It's all good now. So this should help for a few minutes. But I don't think it's gonna help much. It'll keep it for at least a bit. So how far along are we? Okay, so I still have the fingers and the face. Good. And then we move into the brightest highlights. And then we go into the shading. Every time I think I have reached a logical conclusion as to what the nature of the issue is, something happens that completely flips the idea over on its head. So I think it's fair to say that at this point I have no idea what's going on. I know it's the exposure that's causing the issue, but I don't know how to mediate it.
You forgot your name. Don't let your spirit fade away. Amnesia
And that's
can
big
cause
sad.
such pain. But you're growing stronger every day. Amnesia, you forgot your name. Don't let your spirit fade away. Amnesia, you've been through such pain.
No, the exposure of the camera. I mean, it's a setting. The bulb might, so it won't fix the issue, but it might make it more workable. So it might give it more workable time before it starts happening. Yeah, so it's not exposure as in the exact amount of light that I'm exposing the miniature to. It's a setting of the camera itself. And a part of the problem might be that the software of the camera doesn't have exposure control. So exposure control comes from the settings in OBS, which is the software that I use for streaming. This is what I can actually fine-tune. And whenever the camera actually automatically reduces the exposure, or if I manually reduce it, it somehow causes strain on it, and at some point it starts giving out these weird lines. And it may be that there isn't enough power coming through the USB. It might be the camera itself has some fatigue, mechanical fatigue building up. There may be a million reasons. Also, I have inverted the angles. I have flipped it both horizontally and vertically, which might have an impact. I don't know at this point. But it appears stable for now. I might need to go through another bright mode and then bring it down in a while again. Yeah, no worries. I'm just vocally expressing my frustration. It's not. That is, if anyone else can have any advice, I am more than open to any of it. Yeah. Also, sometimes talking about such issues might give me an idea on as to how I can fix it. Hey there, no worries. It will be fine. Okie dokie. And I think that it is under control for the moment at least. The camera at least. Have you personally experienced such issues with your cam, Ethanit? Although they are pretty particular circumstances, so I don't suppose it's a... yeah, it's the general issue that I'm having with this webcam, so... Whenever the exposure, whenever the exposure goes down, or whether or not because of the automatic function or because I have lowered it manually, After a while, it seems to accumulate mechanical fatigue and it starts creating these flickering lines that you saw a little while ago. Yeah, sorry. And again, even if you have, it's a very particular circumstance in which it actually appears. Sadly, it's pretty much the only circumstance under which I use the camera, so it's pretty integral. Essentially, the problem boils down to the camera still trying to record more light whenever I close the exposure down, so it's probably struggling to collect enough light to keep up the picture. Which is weird because this is a fairly well lit work area. It's probably that there isn't enough power going through the USB. This is probably what's causing it. And this is a universal issue for all webcams, that they are designed to use USB 2s. Oh yeah, really? Okay, okay, yeah, I catch the drift. Okay. How's tomorrow, by the way? I know it's a bit brisk, but because during the week it's gonna be pretty difficult, but I think, and next weekend I'll be out of the town. Oh right, okay. So maybe when starting with the 28th. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he is a bit tight on his schedule, so I understand that. Uh, on the 28th, I am going. I'm starting my vacation days, so I will be a bit more flexible with my time. And we can fit more things in. So you're going downtown for the play? Yeah. Oh, and this is okay. At what time are you playing? About 6:30, 4:30. Okay, yeah, I can make it. I'll have to stick the minis on temporary basis, but I think it can be done. Yeah. Or I'll just bring humans as proxies where for the positionals I'm still missing. Yes, yes, I will. I will. I will make it so that I can. Yeah, yeah, I know where level is, what level up is. I'll need to base the Ulf. So after I'm done with the skin, I might have to play around with that so it can dry until tomorrow and I can varnish it. The ice cream place. What? Oh, I get it. I get it. Um, confetti. Is it confetti? Yeah, okay. So what's happening there? Is it where you're gonna play or are you just gonna meet up there? Oh, okay, okay. Cool. So I wouldn't want to intrude, but yeah. Oh, cool. Thanks for the invite. Actually, I might take you up on that if I manage to get the team sort of play ready. But still, I wouldn't want to intrude if it'll be too much. Oh, okay, thanks. And this is going to be the last game of round 2, I believe. So I think it's time that I should reach out to Boyan and get our game scheduled. Yeah, nice. This is coming out pretty decent. Alright. So now for the last layer of... It'll be goblins on Skaven, right? Thanks. It's still pretty patchy, but I think I'll be able to bring it down with the wash. But yeah, actually on the camera it looks better. The camera sort of blends the colors a little bit more than they actually are. So it's a little bit more of a patchwork case. Kislev flesh is chalky, I've mentioned that. And so I only use it for extreme highlights. Yes, yes, and pure white is almost useless. This color, ceramite white, this color is basically useless. Exactly, it's a ground up chalk with a little bit of medium. I saw a way in which you can make very good white. Yeah, exactly. In which you can make very good acrylic white paint, and that is to take normal acrylics, one of the painter level acrylics, the ones that come in tubes, and you take some of it out in a bottle or some storage container, and then pour in medium and water, and you get a very fine white paint that you can use. Yeah, or just buy Vallejo, that's also an option. But since I'm yeah, slow fuse gaming actually uses this, and they have started to bring out their own paint ranges. Don't worry, I live. Don't worry, I live relatively close to level up, so I can bring one. If you're coming from where you usually are, there's no reason for you to lug it around half the town. So I will bring the field. No worries. Also, I made some changes to the field, as I think that we had this conversation with you about keeping it flat out for the soft fields, and I actually made it work. So I can show you both what I did, and if you like it. Do you think that this will be necessary? To actually have a reservation for them. Yeah, I guess. It would be the day where most people would come to play.
Red stain on the grain of the timber, obscuring the trees and the towns. There's a sinister scent on the wind, time's gonna come around. The red sun is going down.
Yeah. To which we are in no way affiliated, right? Oh yeah, sorry, it's completely different. A completely different animal of a Blood Blow player. Yeah, on the Magic the Gathering topic, I've always had a certain dislike for it. I don't know why, but Tanif actually does. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. And considering that, I think you've gone on tournaments. Am I right? Because when we were going on the Euro Bowl, you were comparing the formats of the tournament to MTG ones. So I guess that you went to some? Whoa! Quite an achievement considering that the player base is pretty big. Nice. You're a tournament veteran, aren't you? Awesome. It is pretty competitive. And the requirements to do good in competitive play are sort of monetarily involved, and it makes things a bit harder.
And I see the way it goes back years before I get to the right place. And no longer home, I must get gone and move on to the next one. And through the trees, I find my peace. It's not where I expected.
Oh,
And
what's
there's
this?
a fine line, I find the time to go and listen.
Oh, I gotta see this. Is it for the chef?
See the money on the floor.
Yeah.
I'll be right
Ah,
back
let me
to
take a look.
get the bags. I don't care
Oh, look at that.
if you're listening.
Stew Slinger.
But I know what she really likes. Passing by on the
Yeah, it's really cool. Very cute.
Cause you're leaving me now, but I don't care. I know you think I'm in despair, but I'm happy
Right, just a few more touches.
not like you, yeah, I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
But it definitely works. And it does make sense for the inducement itself, as in you are lobbing food at your opponent, so he gets distracted and you can steal their rerolls. Did I actually highlight the face? No, I did not. Just a speck here and there.
Must I find a new life to live now? Should I move back to my friend's house? Well, I remember the days when we
Okay. Again, a little bit of a kabuki face we have here, but hopefully the wash will fix this. And their own sandwiches. I don't think that any halfling would actually bother to throw their own sandwiches. Because, you know, they're personal property and they're for lunch. Right, so we are done with the flesh highlighting. And now for the wash. I was gonna ask you about that, because they did look, on the pictures, they looked very similar, and I actually have the templates from 7th edition. No, I do have 7th edition templates. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago I wanted to ask you the question, but I just forgot. Because they did look eerily similar. Oh, cool. So that's one accessory that I won't need in addition to. I just have to dig them out of the dusty box of 40k stuff that I haven't used in half a decade. Yeah, those are the templates in question. So the teardrop, the large blast, and the small blast. Although I don't think that the large blast is used in Necromunda, only the small blast. Yeah, I have them as well. Just need to dig them out. Oh, is the big blast one used in Necromunda? Because I think only the small one was in the game. Oh, the big one is! What the hell causes a big blast? What kind of weapon allows for such destruction? Because in 40k the big blast was used when the lemon rust tanks fired, or some sort of large artillery was used. Maybe the ambots, maybe some of the heavier mechanized units. For Cawdor. On Chaos Cultist. For Necromunda? Nice. I didn't know that they were there. Yes, sorry. No, because when you think about it, Chaos Cultists would appear pretty similar to the servitors of the Cawdors. You know, the wreck-like humans. Also based on their new released models, which I'm not too crazy about. Oh, okay. Which acts as a neutral? Or are you controlling it? Yeah, so it's neutral. That's a nice mechanic. Always get I control. Yeah, the player controls it, but okay, okay. That always reminds me of that old joke that where the medical students, while learning Latin, accidentally summon a demon. Right, right. A little bit like the summons in Shadowrunner. Still, that's a nice mechanic to have, I think. Okay. Yeah, alright. I should probably print out some cards for the Goliaths. For the profile cards. Wicked. Because I printed out the whole Necromunda rules thing and it's pretty big. I've already talked about that. There's no need to bring it up again. Right, I'll be off for just a couple of moments and I'll be back real soon. And I'm back. Interesting. That's some cool trivia. Okay. Well, if it says so. I've seen a similar thing as an job interview tactic where you write this down on a piece of paper and you crumple it up, and when you go to the interview and they ask you why you would be a good fit, you bring up the paper as a piece of parchment, you throw it on the desk and say it's been preordained. I haven't tried it and I don't think I will, but it's still an idea. Yeah, it's a bit of a gamble, but then again, it always is. Yeah, I suppose that's ultimately what one wants to go for. Don't think it's for me though, but still. I'm going in with the wash to create some additional gradient to the flesh and hopefully smooth out some of the transitions. I isn't it? Not sure, really. Sometimes I think that these washes are not the best for this skin recipe, and maybe sepia would be better. But I will lay down a few layers and just see how it goes. Sure. Oh wow. Ooh. Hmm. Is this for the Necromunda? Hmm. The one that's more reddish, I think would work better if you have less terrain. But if you're gonna use more terrain, the second one, the yellowish one, is better. So I think that would be. And also the reddish one is a bit more broken up. Maybe the reddish one. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, because the second one is better if you want to construct a whole thing without any guidance, and the first one is better if you want to use it for something, like use its uh, details to drive you. Yeah, it's a tough choice. Still, I think that. Yeah. Exactly, but you can of course not take them into account and just put terrain over them. But in case you want to use less terrain, you have something to go for breaking up the monotony. So I still think that the reddish one will be more versatile. I see. Well, I don't know in that case. Yeah, now that makes things even more difficult. Either way, both look good. Like, let's start with that. Both look good. There's no. And that is also a great argument. As usual, I'm just gonna suggest that we actually get together and start playing, and then we can start thinking of expanding resources. I know, I know. But it's just these small little flashes of common sense that make their way through. What's this? Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a great one. Although again, if we are talking versatility, it's still a bit limiting into what you can pull off if you get a very creative surge to create the game board. Awesome. Yeah, that one is also very good. The second one. I think they're more than enough for us to start off, so. Yeah, yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that topic, totally. Alright, see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Oh yeah, for me, I will definitely do my best to join you for some ice cream. I don't think I've had ice cream this year. I really love thin shading. It really helps bring the whole model together, and you can fix a lot of the blending mistakes you've made. As long as you don't go. So this is just Reichland Flesh Shade that I thinned down with water. Thanks. I've been doing it for all the miniatures. And yeah, you may need to apply a couple of layers, because just one makes it look, because if you go thick, it makes it a bit hard, but with enough water you can actually blend in a lot of the inconsistencies. Yeah, no, I'm just saying that it's not something I'm trying out now, because I've been doing it. And I'm still trying to find out the best way to do it, because although it works well when you try and blend in the deepest recesses with the first or second layers of highlight, it works. But it doesn't work well when you have to blend down the extreme highlights. So if I were to put it here on the shoulder, even though it's a little bit too bright, it won't have a good effect. And this is something I need to figure out a way to compensate. Because it sort of goes well up to middle tier highlights, but then you get Big in Space's comment that it starts to look a bit yellowish, and it's true, so it gives the skin a little bit of a sickly look that I don't like. So it needs to be applied rather sparingly. Or at least very, very thinned. Yeah, it does work. And I think I will be keep using this as a method of painting flesh no matter what I change. But it does need a little bit of refinement. And maybe another tone, so maybe this isn't the right shade to use. Maybe it just needs to be another color of shade, I don't know. Because here it got a bit too intense on the left leg. so I might actually have to come in with some of the base color to bring it up. Or maybe just use less Kislev flesh, because it's the Kislev flesh that causes this yellowing out when you lay the shade over it, and this is why it doesn't apply as well over the extreme highlights. So maybe instead of Kislev flesh, I might just go for maybe for Screaming Skull as a highlighter, in a mix of Cadian flesh. I don't know. I just honestly don't like Kislev flesh that much as a color, and I should find something else. For the face, however, I will go to the small brush with very thin wash. So I will put some here beneath temples, between the lips. Try and blend it out. I think that's it. I will give it another look tomorrow in different light and see where I need to reapply some more wash. Thank you. For now though, I will go again with the Agrax for the fur and just reinforce it a little bit. I want to have a better looking color switch. Because it sort of faded out. Okay. Let's see. Does something gleam is inconsistent? Sorta. All right.
Gordon Freeman saved my life.
Nice. Oh, that's always an adventure in its own. So, what did you go for? Still, it would have been weirder if, while looking at tiles, you start thinking about the colors as Citadel range colors. So you go with, I like this Cadian flesh tone colored floor tiles. That would certainly make a ruckus. Yeah, I've personally always had an issue with choosing tiles because I never. As in the the programming colors. FF 003 whatever. Cool. Yeah, joking aside, tiles are very difficult to pick out. Because more often than not, you see them in because in the store you see them in lighting which is rarely the lighting that you will have in the room that you're placing the tiles in, and secondly you are more often than not seeing them on a very small surface instead of covering a whole wall or something like that. So actually realizing how it will affect the overall feel of the room is very tricky. Which is why this is a process that I always dread. Yeah, that's also another way of looking at it. I mean, it's not the most important thing, unless you actually go for a whole color theme department or something along those lines. Because I have a colleague that really wanted to have a theme built, and she wanted everything to be red and black. And based off of that, she needed to color code the rest of the furniture and everything along. In this case, you have something to go on, so it's I don't know, you have something to go off of. Put the dude here. I feel a headache coming for some reason. Maybe the weather's changing. But anyway, I won't be painting anymore. I will be cutting right after I finish with the cigarette. I'll be going off. And I'll try to get the Ulf on a base. Get him based up for tomorrow. And the rest of the minis that I'll need to use are just linemen, so I'll substitute them with humans. And prepare the skill rings. So we can play tomorrow. Though I don't really feel like I can give much for a game against the 4-guard. Still, I can just try and improve positioning a little bit. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, but the guard makes it really tough to do so. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, get rid of the easier ones instead of focusing on high value targets. Maybe you're right. Either way, it will be a good experience to have a tabletop game test for the World Cup anyway. So it'll be fun either way. Right, well, I think that'll be it from me for tonight. Thank you all for joining. As usual, very much appreciated. We've had a fun chat and we've actually managed to do some, to get some good progress done. But yeah, have a lovely rest of your evening. And today I've been Bachicolio, signing out. Bye guys.